and I'll give y'all some updates on Trauma to Triumph and where we are with the project. Like I said about 2 weeks ago, I really, really want to get some more filming done. But in order to do that, we need more funding. So we're just, collecting our donations every time we get them, and getting us a little stash together so that we can get some really good filming done once the weather warms up consistently, where we can move around more, get some really great B-roll. So we're going to get some more filming done spring and early summer. And by the end of the summer, my plan is to have something to present to networks or streaming platforms to show them the amazing work that we've done with this project, Trauma to Triumph, and to show some of the powerful, impactful stories that we have all shared together about our real life trauma, and then how we transition to triumph. I see Joe just joined. Joe, I'll be bringing you into my live momentarily. Trauma to Triumph is a project where we simply heal each other through the sharing of our stories. Sharing stories is powerful, powerful. That's why people write books, memoirs. That's why people form groups, because there's a form of healing within every story. And I realized myself a long time ago that whenever I would share one of my life trauma stories with someone who could relate, someone who had been through it or knew someone who had been through it, or some sort of direct connection to what had happened to me, it made me feel like I wasn't alone. It made me feel like there's someone else who I can talk to about this thing that happened. And we plan to meal. That means I'm hungry again. My husband just took me out to dinner for date night, and I had a great meal. So I think the meal is still on my mind. But what I was trying to say is we are going to heal millions of people of all ethnicities, all ages, all backgrounds, males and females, simply through the sharing of our stories. Because what we do, we leave legacies of wisdom. And that's all I want to do. I want to be able to heal people by sharing our stories. And we have had some really impactful stories. Tonight's story is no different. The young man, Joe Braxton, is a part of our Spotlight family. And he's an author. He has been sharing his story for years through his memoir, and also just on different platforms. So I want you all to really, 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 really tune in tonight. And if we can just heal one more person, that's what I say every week. If we just heal one person, if it just makes a difference in one person's life, then it's worth it. And that's why we've been doing this every single week. Every week we have a different story of life trauma and how someone went through it. We go through the journey, because triumph doesn't always mean that you're wealthy or famous or anything like that. Triumph for most of us simply means I'm still here. I made it. I made it through something very traumatic, and I am still here to love, to live my life, and to be merry. So that's what triumph means for most of us. So let's get to tonight's guest. I have the information on my comments if you all want to donate and help move this project along and help get some filming done and help get some marketing done. You all see I still don't have a one of them nice things. What's some things you pull up behind you? Backdrop things. I still need to get one of those. So we've got some other things that we need to do with this project. So you have the information there. You can also go to my website, www.trauma2Triumph.com. You can donate directly on the website now. And there's a button that says donate. Click. Make it really easy. So I thank you in advance. Your donations have meant so much to me. Truly, you have really been a blessing to this platform. Thank you so very much. If you all are looking for a great book to read, head over to author Truly Maxine's Instagram and get a copy of the book. I am who I say I am when I'm intoxicated. go get the book. All right, let's get to tonight's guest. Thank you all for tuning in. I see you, CC. Hello. All right, let's find you. Did I do it right? There he is.
Hey, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right.
We
You?
both got on hats tonight.
Oh yeah.
I had a bad hair day. Look, I've had a rough few days, so this hair was like, child, goodbye.
Looks nice though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. How have you been?
Been all right. Just um maintaining, staying positive.
Yep,
So
maintaining
yeah.
and staying positive. You know, I was telling them that you're considered family to us already
Yeah.
because, you know, you were on our platform, Joe, when Spotlight Over the City was, ooh, it was
Yeah.
way back, way back. You remember?
Yeah, I remember. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And so you've been telling your story. You've been very transparent and telling your story and your book, man. Oh, your book. It's an
Yeah.
emotional book, but it's an inspiring book as well.
Yes.
So I want you to take an opportunity first to just reintroduce yourself to those who are tuned in tonight. And then we'll take it back. You know, we can't go through the entire book, obviously. That's a great book, but, you know, we're going to, you know, we'll dive into when life trauma first entered your life
Okay.
and how you transitioned to be the amazing author, the amazing young man who you are today. So
Okay.
let's start with who you are now, and then let's take a stroll down memory lane.
Okay. I'm Joe Braxton. um, a lot of people may know me. I've been called a social butterfly. I used to be out everywhere,
Yep.
which is kind of shocking because I'm really an introvert. Um, but I'm Joe Braxton. I'm an entrepreneur, a brand ambassador. I've been working in the experiential marketing field since 2011. It's something I enjoy because it gives me a chance to get out and meet new people, travel, just have fun, with life, enjoy life. So that's my outlet, to
I
get away from
like
reality.
that.
So
Wow. That sounds like a really cool job, Joe.
yeah, I love it.
Wow. I
Yeah,
love that too. I love that for you.
yeah.
Okay. And so, when did your book first come out, Joe? Refresh
Uh,
my memory.
it came out in 2017, my first book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
uh,
So you've been an author for quite some time.
yeah,
And that's not a low level achievement.
yeah.
That's really huge. I just want you to know that.
Thank
That's really a big deal. It ain't a lot of us, you know, in our circles, you know, that can say that they've done what you've accomplished
you.
doing that. So I just wanted to let you know. Don't take that lightly.
Okay.
Yeah, pat yourself on the back every chance you
I
get.
mean,
Every
I
chance
tried to.
you get. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to spill the beans. Like I say, you know, I happen to know your story because one, you've been on the platform. Two,
Mhm.
I've tuned into a lot of the things that moments where you've shared and been transparent about your journey. So take it back as far as you want to go back, Joe, to help people understand when life trauma first entered your life,
Okay.
and we'll go on the journey of, you know, how you transitioned to the man you are today.
Okay. So, I'm gonna start when I was 11 years
Mhm.
old.
We're
Um,
talking about
I
like about fifth grade, right?
and
Right around
yeah, around 10th grade. Yeah, 10th,
fifth grade.
5th, 6th grade. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, so I was started being molested by an older cousin. Um, and it went on for years, on and off.
Mm.
And they groomed me, uh, I guess, to be like their sex. I wasn't a family member anymore. I was like a sex toy or something.
Yeah,
That's what
right
I
there.
felt like. Yeah, and so I went through years of confusion, sadness, fear, shame, guilt, not realizing what was happening to me was wrong.
Oh,
So I was groomed to believe that, it was all right. It was love. Um, and so being a, black kid growing up, it's hard to share those type of things with anyone out of fear.
Right.
And because of our community, um, they've been pushing things like that under the rug for so many years. That's all they know. And so, um, along the years, I was running away from something I didn't know I was running away from. And it was like, I didn't know I was depressed. I was depressed for many
Yeah.
years. I didn't know it was until I, had a suicide attempt. So I was diagnosed as having manic depression. Um,
About how old were you? Do you remember, Joe, when you had a suicide attempt?
that was probably in my early 20s
Yeah. Yeah.
when that happened.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I did have different thoughts like that, at a younger
That's
age.
what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you. Like, was
Mhm.
that your first time having those thoughts, or, did you struggle with those types of thoughts? It's like, Joe, the middle school Joe,
Yeah.
what was he like? What was the middle school Joe like, and high school Joe like?
Yeah. I mean, I went through middle school. Um, I stayed to myself. I was
Mhm.
quiet. A lot of people thought I was a mute because I was so quiet, and
Wow.
I kept everything inside. And we go through those years where you get teased and this and that and this. So I also going through those years in school where it's like, um, I'm confused with my sexuality, because on the other one hand, my cousin doing this to me, I still like girls, but I'm still confused about boys. So it's like
Right.
I didn't know what was going on. So I'm like it was just causing so much, frustration trying to deal with all that. Like I said, it's hard because you can't talk to them about it because you don't know what they will say. So um, and that's
And
one
Joe,
thing
what was home life like for you? Did you have siblings? Was it both mom and dad? Like when you
yes.
say, like because I'm sure like there are people who would who feel the same way about like, dad, I didn't have anybody that I felt
Hmm.
I could trust to go
Hmm.
tell. Like, did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone? Did you have who was in the house with you growing up? Give us a picture of what that was like.
I mean, I've always had like family members around me. I mean, my mom was there. Of course, she's a great support
Mhm.
system. Um, her ex was there. My father was never in the picture.
Okay.
So, and also that was one reason why I looked up to my cousin because I needed that masculine figure in my life. I needed
And it
that.
was someone you
Yeah.
trusted. That's
Right.
usually always
Yeah.
the way this happens,
Mm.
unfortunately, because of course, if someone not close to you, someone you don't know, you don't trust, you're not going to be as eager to be like, well, okay,
Right.
maybe this is okay, maybe this
Right.
is love.
And they felt, I guess, and to me, they filled that void that
Yeah,
I needed.
yeah.
And so, I mean, there was always like I had family around, but it was just like it's just something you can't share
They
because
can't share.
you think you're alone.
Yeah.
I felt I was alone. So,
Wow,
um,
Joe.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, and so you're through middle school, you pretty much stay to yourself, but you're struggling
Mm.
internally with all these mixed emotions, and
Mhm.
because you had already been violated
Mhm.
over and over and over again.
Mhm.
So now you're like, do I like girls? Do I like boys? Like, what the hell is going on with me?
Mhm.
Because what happened to you shouldn't have happened to you.
Yeah.
You should have been allowed to, develop like everybody
Yeah.
else and figure things out in life, that way,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So high school, how's life for you in high school? Do you remember?
So high school. Um, so I did my first 2 years in the Baltimore high school, and I mean, it was fun, but it was I always felt like I was still running away from something, and you're getting in those teenage years where it's like you're about to be an adult soon, and you're thinking like I was always miserable in the back of my head. I wasn't happy, even though I was I grew up too fast. I
Right.
grew up too fast because I was harboring this secret, which caused me to grow up so fast because I was trying to avoid anything I could, try to well hide it and this and that. Being grown, not grown, but being sneaky. Sneaking with my cousin, doing it because that's what I wanted. So it was just it was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of like running from myself. And then also when I became like 17, 18, I was like desperate for love. I
Hmm.
needed that love. Um, that I thought was love for my cousin, but I would get into these different relationships, and even at a young age, which I thought was love. It was really, they were really like kind of abusive love. So I felt like um I started getting into abusive relationships because I thought that was love, that was right, because it brought me back to the feeling of being molested, being raped. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I still deal with that to this day, but 17, 18, I started, hanging with the wrong crowds, getting fast money. And it started making me feel good because I thought having money, um, it helped me be someone else I wasn't. It helped me be, I wasn't myself because I was able to hide behind labels, behind money.
Right.
So I didn't have to face reality. Um, and uh, until, well, I guess we'll go further down the line, but I was running for myself for a few years. So,
Wow, Joe. Wow. And
hmm
so, okay, and so like you said, you was running with the wrong crowd. And then, so you through high school, you got through that. And
hmm
you said in your young 20s is when you actually tried to commit
hmm
suicide, or that's the first time where you really thought about it.
that's the time I attempted. Well, I actually tried to do it. I've had thoughts before, but that's the time I actually tried to do it. And it was also a time where I was dealing with, I was getting arrested, which also, I mean, getting arrested felt like, you know, I was free from my cousin. It helped me,
Ah,
which it was kind of weird. It felt like I was protected and free. Like I didn't have to worry about being um, the victim anymore.
right.
So um, but I had to deal with like the jail situation and um, just and then been in a psych ward. They lock you in a psych ward, so I had to go through that. So, um, but yeah. So once I realized, I deserve to live. Despite what happened to me, it wasn't my fault. Um, and so I guess from then, that's when things started to change a little bit, for the better. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, and so what was there something, someone, was it just like what was it though that got you to the turning point where you said, I deserve to live? So you had tried to commit suicide in your early 20s.
hmm
Thank God you were not successful,
hmm
but did you hit like a lower point after that? Like what was that thing or that person or that feeling that made you say, you know what, I want to live and I want to live happily and I want to be my authentic
hmm
self.
Um, one thing I think is just myself, and the other I think is my mom, because I didn't want to be selfish.
Mhm.
Um, we all go through things, and I didn't want to leave this world. We just just give up that easily.
Right.
And I realized that um, I can do better here alive than gone than away.
Hmm.
So, well, I can do more here alive than dead, if I should say
Right.
that. But then over the years, like to about 2015, um, I would always journal and write different things, and I had a really depressed moment where my cat had just passed. I had to put her to sleep, and things just weren't going right, and I just got really depressed, and I think I was about to hit that moment again where suicide hit me.
Mm.
And I what the hell?
Mhm.
Fuck with the car, but I hit that moment. But then I said, I think I need to write a book about this. And
Mhm.
then I, so I call this my public journal, and so it's written like I just wrote it. I just letting everything out at one time. I just wrote it like that, and I just said this is going to help somebody else because I know um I'm not alone in this. And then that's when I decided to release this, which um, I still can't believe I did it and shared the story because it takes a lot to do that.
It
Uh,
does. Like, so
yeah.
Joe, before you put the book out,
hmm
who was like the first person you told that of what happened to you?
Um, I can't.
Do
Ooh.
you remember who was the first person you felt comfortable being transparent and telling that story? Like, did you ever talk to your cousin about it when you know what I mean? Like,
Um, I I did talk. Well, I think one of the first people I talked to was my mom and my best friend Tracy, um, and I also shared it with my cousin Tracy too.
is that
One that
Tracy
passed.
Horton?
Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
passed too. But I also talked to my cousin about it, and I let him know that I'm releasing a book because I want you to realize what you did to me, what you did to my life. How you kind of robbed me of my life, and I don't think actually, I'm just starting to live my life now. Like for about 20 something years, I was living in depression, living unhappily. And
Wow.
so,
Think about how much time
yeah.
people waste, not just you. So many people waste so
hmm
many years of
hmm
their life in a depressed state of mind. And a lot of times, Joe, they don't even realize
hmm
that they're just a walking, functioning, manic depressive
Right.
person,
Right. That's what it was.
you know?
Yeah.
Because you block out so many things just to keep going.
Right.
You don't
I've,
even realize you're masking depression
and
and you're not walking in your
right.
truth.
Masking it, I was also masking it by being so nice to people. I was a doormat to so many people, but I hid it. But because I never want anyone else to experience the type of pain that I've experienced. So I was always, too nice, overly overreaching, always supporting people, and nobody supported me. Like these same
Mhm.
people, I'm like, I had to wake up one day and say, you know what, you deserve support too. You deserve to be treated good too. Um, and so,
And that's exactly
yeah,
right.
hmm
That's exactly
yeah,
right. So, your journey, your transition over to, living your best life.
hmm
Um, I would you say that you're still in that journey? You're still in, like you said, you're starting now to live your best life. You're starting now to live in your truth. But you had, like you said, you went 20 years of it. Let's not say it was a waste though. Let's just say you had 20 years of life experiences, albeit painful experiences, life experiences that there's something that you're going to take away from that 20 years to be able to help others in your next 20 years.
hmm
That's the
Okay, I like
silver
that.
lining that we will take from that, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Because once something is already done, it's too painful to continue living in it from that perspective. So you got to kind of say, okay, God, there's got to be a silver lining in that. And even if all it is that, I had to go through that pain in order to save some others.
hmm
All right,
Right,
let's go.
right.
Right. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
And so I'm very, very proud of your braveness and your tenacity to, like you said, like not to entertain more more episodes of suicide attempts.
yeah.
You realize that that wasn't for
Yeah.
you.
So when I get those thoughts now, I'm sometimes I'm always on the road, so I'm away, so I get to, get out, experience something new, or experience some nature. I love music, so I'll turn some music on, or so I'll make sure those thoughts go won't prosper, to
So
that.
what you're saying though is that those thoughts do still
Oh
happen.
yeah,
You're human, and so
right.
you move on and you transition to living triumphantly, but that doesn't mean that
hmm
those thoughts don't ever come back up. And they're probably triggers.
Yeah.
They're probably things that happen in life that trigger you to go back to those moments where you were violated, because it happened for years, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
moment. It was something that continued to happen to you, right?
Yeah, for years. Till my 30s. Yeah. Until I had to put my foot down and say, I can't do this anymore. I gotta choose me. I gotta choose myself. And this wasn't right. I had to break free. So
So what is, if there is any type of relationship, is there a relationship between you and this cousin now? Are you all cordial, or is there no relationship at all? Do you feel forgiveness in your heart? Do you feel animosity? Where are you with that?
um for years I felt resentment, but a couple years ago I felt weak. And I felt weak and I met them because I felt like I was going through life trying to find people who would make me feel like him. And so one time I got weak and we met up. And while we were messing around, um, they said, "So this is what you like when you was 15, right? You like this." And it was like what is it, like a reverse psychology thing. So he like threw the guilt like back on me some kind of way. And after that, that's when I woke up. I said, "Oh, like no, this ain't right. Like this guy, this is a monster, you know." And I was like, I that's when I woke up and I tried to. It's been about 2 years now since I've had any contact. They may text every now and then. Um, I did massage therapy for years, so they actually just texted me about a few weeks ago, asking me did I do massage therapy, and I said no, I don't do that anymore.
Hmm.
And then he said another thing, so something sexually. Do you still do this? And I ignored it because I said he's only trying to tempt me,
You see
trying to
that,
test me.
but you can see that,
Yeah.
right? You saw that.
Yeah. So I was like, no, this is a test trying to tempt me. I said, no. So I feel good because I'm stronger now and there's more out here. It's not just that person who did that to me. And I'm hoping, the reason I wrote this book also, I'm hoping that they realize, what they did and try to fix it, but I also hope that it didn't happen to anybody else, any other child that was near them or whatever,
And that's the other thing I
yeah,
always think about. What if it wasn't just you, Joe?
yeah. Yeah, I think about that a whole lot. What if it wasn't just me, But at least I spoke out about it, and excuse me, and they can now realize, what they did. So,
And that's why I keep saying, I keep reiterating to
mhm.
you, I'm very, very proud of that, because I'm sure, especially since it's a family member, I'm sure that's not easy, Joe. I'm sure it's not easy to tell your truth. And now, not only did you tell your truth, you're still living and walking in your truth,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So that's got to be tough sometimes. But the braveness that it takes to be like, yeah, it's tough, but this is what I need to do for me. This is
Yeah.
liberating for me. I have
Right.
to free myself from this. You were in bondage for 20 years, but you
Yeah.
got so much more life to live now. You
Yeah.
still young, you still popping. You got a book out now. Let's talk about the book. So
Okay.
you started writing this book.
Mhm.
Tell us the moments that led up to you saying, you know what? Oh, I think you told me. It's like, after the suicide and all of those things that happened, you journaled a lot and you
Uh-huh.
decided to just pull those things together and write this book.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have
So
it with
yeah,
you so you
yeah,
can
I
show
have it
people?
right
Oh,
here. So this is Joe Braxton, Still Breathing: How to Gain Your Life After Being Robbed. So yeah, I have that. So yeah, I just started writing it. And once you write a book, once you start the process, you gotta stick to it.
yeah.
Because if you don't, it's gonna linger on. But
And you finished
I
it.
finished it and I had to put it out. But after I released it, I got depressed for a few months afterwards because I felt like it was mentally exhausting because I was I had to repeat something that I was in pain for
Right.
for so many years, But I had to take a break from it because, you know, it, I don't know, it was just mentally exhausting for me to I don't know. But then now I feel like, but after so many people have shared their testimonies with me, I have heard so many testimonies from people who they say they never shared their stories with anybody, and they've shared them with me. And I said, I think my story is something, and when I hear their stories, I say, oh my God. And it's like, this is what this book is doing. It's doing the job that I wanted it to
That you
do,
intended
that I
for it.
intended it for. So, and I was like, so when I say I need to take a break, I'll wake up and say, there's somebody else out here. Like you said, no matter if it's one person or whoever, somebody else will know that they're not alone,
That they're not
in this.
alone.
Yeah. So,
You know, do you know the number of people, Joe,
hmm
that have gone through? It's sad. It's sad that there's so many young children who every day are being violated, usually by a family member,
right.
usually by a family member.
hmm
You know, it saddens my heart, but the reality of it is that's real.
It is.
And it takes people like you and me to come forward and say,
hmm
we're not alone in all of this stuff, that these are things that happen to us. We didn't ask for this stuff to happen to us.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can people get your book? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how people can support you.
So Still Breathing, How to Regain Your Life After Being Robbed. It's on my website if you want a signed copy at thejoebraxton.com, or it's available on Amazon.com, Kindle, and BarnesandNoble.com. Yep.
Yeah. So Joe, what's next for you? And you're right now you're an entrepreneur.
hmm
And what's next for you? Where do we go from here? You've got a book now already now. Um, is there another book coming? Are you just going to live your best life doing your thing
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur? What's next for you?
So I do have three children's books too. So after this first Still Breathing book came out, I said I want to go a lighter route because Still Breathing is really a
It's
deep book.
deep.
And so I have this James. It's called James and Candace. It's a multicultural children's book series. Um,
Ah,
so it's about teaching kids empathy. So I wrote a lot of these during the pandemic, and this one, this is an anti-racism kids book right here called Humanity Matters, by James and
wow,
Candace.
Joe.
And during the pandemic, I was a mail carrier during the pandemic. And I have another book, but it's halfway illustrated and finished because my illustrator, she lives in Ukraine, and she only, the war started, so she was only able to get half of it done. So that one's will come out sometime soon once it's finished illustrated. But I'm gonna do a journal, in connection to my first book. So like interactive journal. I think that would help because I was thinking about doing a second book to Still Breathing.
Hmm.
So because this book is so small, I want to do like a fully detailed book, about the whole experience. So um,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm
Well,
thinking,
let's go.
yeah,
Let's
so I'm thinking about
do
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go. You
yeah,
know, Joe, I appreciate you so much for saying yes to this. These moments mean a lot to me because I feel like you're going to touch a life or more.
mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate your yes. I appreciate you being a part of this Trauma to Triumph platform. We've got we've got work to do. We got way more work to do, Joe. We've got more people to heal. We've got more people to reach,
Mm-hmm.
more people to say, hey, you don't have to suffer in silence no more.
Right,
We're all coming out. It's like the Me Too movement,
right,
right? We're all in this thing together. There's no judgment. There's no judge zones. We're doing away with all of that kind of stuff and just really trying to heal others
right, right,
and make this place a better place.
right. That's
It's so sick and crazy out there in the world now. So we've got to do our part to um, to help others and to continue being transparent. And we were talking at my brunch last Saturday about how people oftentimes, they don't want to share their real truth, the nitty gritty stuff. But it's those things that really help people out of the trenches. Like if you've never been through nothing and you can't, it's hard to really help someone if
Right.
you've never been through things and you're not transparent about it. We want to hear about the good things that happen in your life, but it's the bad things that you share that help other people deal with their life trauma.
Right.
It's those moments that we are transparent enough and brave enough to share to help people know that, you know, we're real. We're real people who have gone through real shit.
Yeah.
And we're on
Right.
the other side to talk about it so that hopefully others won't have to spend 20 years in a depressed state of mind.
Yeah. That's one reason why I wrote this
Yeah,
book. So because I don't want
yeah,
nobody else, no other child, to deal with that. You know,
yeah.
it was hell. I would say that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, um, how is your mom? You still have your mom?
Oh yeah, she's doing she's doing okay. You know,
Yeah.
she stresses out a lot about a whole lot. You know, but I know she really cares about me.
Yeah.
You know, so
But so
but
she's doing okay
she's
though.
she's doing okay. My father, he's not doing so good. He's in a nursing home now,
Mm.
and like I said, he wasn't really in my life, and so now it's like I have to step up now and be there for him while
How
he's
is
in a
that?
nursing home.
How does that make you feel on the inside?
Whew. It's stressful. You know, I got gray hair now that just came last year. You know, it's 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 stressful, but it's hurtful. It gets me full of resentment because I missed out on so many years.
Hmm.
But now it's like this is like the time only out of I'm 42 years old, and these last few years are like the last few years that, you know, the most time I've seen him all my life. You know, and so I just wish, you know, like fathers, you just both can equally like step up and see your kids and you make. And I know sometimes you're dealing with alcohol situations, drug situations,
Yeah.
but you got to be stronger than that and tend to your kids, you know, because something like this will happen. Like he can't even talk anymore, so I really can't have a conversation with him.
Right.
So it's like, so anything I want to share or talk about, he can't give me feedback on it.
Oh.
So it hurts. It hurts.
So he
So
wasn't there for the majority of your life,
no,
Joe?
no,
Wow. That's unfortunate.
yeah,
He missed out on the great human being he created. He
mm,
helped create.
yeah,
He missed out on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But you know what? It's okay though,
mhm.
because you are still striving and thriving, and you're going to do more amazing things. I just know that you are, Joe.
Yeah,
And like I said, we've got work to do out here in this world,
yeah,
and it's going to take more people with tenacity and braveness and a heart like yours for us to do it. So
right.
thank
Not
you for being a part of my project. Thank you all for joining in.
yes.
We've got a lot of comments on there. I couldn't keep up with the comments tonight because it's hard to do that and stay engaged. But I want to say thank you all so much for
Yes.
being attentive tonight and for tuning in and hanging out with me and my friend Joe. If
Yeah.
you all know someone who has a life trauma story and they want to be on this platform, you all should send them my way. Send them to the website, www.trauma2Triumph.com. They can submit their story online. They can DM me. You can also email me, and the email address is info@trauma2Triumph.com. And yeah, get your stories in. If you know someone, send them to me. If you yourself are watching and you are ready to talk about life trauma that you went through and that you dealt with, let's do it. Let's help someone else. Let's continue to heal millions together through the sharing of our amazing life stories. Joe, I want to thank you again for being a part of tonight's Trauma the Triumph Tuesday. And next week we will be back with another dynamic story of trauma to triumph. Thank y'all so much, Joe. I'm family. We family. You know, I see you out in them
Yeah.
streets, you know, and
Yeah.
anytime you need me or a spotlight over the city, you know the answer is yes.
Okay.
We got you.
I appreciate
Yep.
you too. Both of you.
Okay. Thank y'all so
Thank
much.
y'all. See y'all.
See y'all later. Good night.
Good night.